Detroit.
This is how we grew our podcast to over 10,000 listeners without spending hours editing each week. First, look up Riverside, then create a free account. We chose Riverside because it's an end-to-end platform for podcasting.
I went to St. Louis. I went into on the app.
Making it through.
This is the Hudson's building that they just built right there. Am I doing that right? Right here. That's the Hudson's building that they just built. So I'm vlogging over there today. But one of the reasons why I was vlogging over there today is that last week, I made the decision that it's a strong possibility that I might move my studio inside of the Hudson's. They still got a mortgage. You didn't know if he refinanced. You
Making it through.
But that's new information. We're going to get into that later. And no, I'm not moving from here. I'm just moving the studio, maybe move the studio in there. Anyways, let's start off with the name of the show. It says the rent is too high. All right. Now, I also am considerate, meaning that I know that everybody don't share the same faith as me. Everybody don't have the same desires as me. Everybody is not interested in leveling up and doing all of that stuff. So I'm not approaching this from my mindset. I'm not approaching it from my situation. I don't have the same situation as everybody else. I don't have the same mindset as everybody else. I don't look at anything as too expensive. I look at it as an opportunity. All right. So when I'm having this conversation and I jump into this live today, I want you to keep that in mind. So this is what my man had to say, for example.
You know, I believe in full transparency. I'm not going to sugarcoat or lie about anything. I'm going to be completely real on this page. I'm struggling, bruh. I've been looking for a 2-bedroom apartment. I have a baby. We need that second room. And nothing goes for less than $2,500 a month. How are some of you guys doing it? How? With car insurance, car payments, rent, gas, and a few other things. How are you guys making it through? I'm barely just making it by, and I have a pretty decent job. I got paid pretty well to hold the family. But $2,500 a month? Like, are these people like going crazy? And like now I'm looking at like actual like not apartment buildings or like luxury apartments. I'm looking for people who own duplexes and have like multifamily homes. They're charging the same thing. And the apartment's like beat up. Like, what's wrong with people? Like, it's not like your mortgage went up because you guys have been paying it off since you bought it like 40 years ago. You guys are just being greedy.
Why? All right. First, before we get into the rest of this, What makes y'all think that y'all could tell somebody what their situation is and determine how much you're supposed to pay based off of what you think other people got going on? Y'all don't know.
Get up right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because
It's bad enough that people steal your stuff, and it's 1,000 different TikTok accounts from my people.
What they did get, these Dems are facing criticism from their party because the package does not include a deal on Obamacare
for 2026. I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement, but waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome. So let me be clear. No one in the Senate chamber wants to extend the ACA tax credits more than I do.
I joined this group to make sure that we could get important protections for federal employees. And what we have in this bill is the restoration of all the furloughed employees and a guarantee of their back pay.
So despite them touting what they did get, these Dems are facing criticism from their party because the package does not include a deal on Obamacare subsidies.
then come closer.
And now Democrats who won their elections last week are coming out and saying subsidies, Medicaid cuts end. They're saying that the broad framework for now we know the whole government shutdown thing was always just a big ploy. Let me explain. So first, the news just broke that the longest ever government shutdown is finally coming to an end. They're saying that the broad framework for this agreement was negotiated by Senator Angus King, Jeanne Shaheen, and Maggie Hassan, as well as GOP senators, has now, quote, more than enough members of the Senate Democratic Caucus to advance, according to two people granted anonymity to disclose the terms. So then I went to research what was so different about this new bill, and the answer is absolutely nothing. They say that this deal is a pragmatic off-ramp from the initial stalemate, a quote-unquote cleaner CR with some wins for both sides, but it largely kicks the core fights, ACA subsidies, Medicaid cuts, down the road without resolution. So why the vote now? Well, it's this. One of the main reasons why the shutdown began in the first place is because the Democrats feared electoral backlash from their base. This is an article from last month, and they said that, quote, it's been clear to them that the American people don't want to see a Democratic Party that capitulates to a Republican extremism. They want a party that stands up for people's health care, that stands up for our democracy, and that's what they're doing now. And that message worked brilliantly for the Democrats. They absolutely shellacked the Republicans in the elections last week. And now Democrats who won their elections last week are coming out and saying, they can be done with this government shutdown now. Yeah, that big fight over health care, that is not even in this new bill. So we had a 40-day government shutdown, air traffic, a complete mess, massive bread lines across the country for absolutely no reason. Okay, it's all a freaking game to these scumbags, and the American people are always the one to suffer.
What did I tell you guys? It's all a show. It's all a show. What was the point of them doing this shutdown if they got nothing from it? And now there is a major backlash in the Democrat Party against the Democrat leadership, the establishment Democrats. But we knew this was going to happen. We know this is part of the chaos plan that they have. They want Americans hungry. They want Americans desperate. So they have people go without pay, without benefits, without anything else, because they were pushing these tax credits for Obamacare. That wasn't even part of it. But if you weren't paying attention to the details, well, you just go with whatever is being said, whatever is out there on the news or whatever they're talking about. And none of it was real. None of it was real. Okay. And Chuck Schumer, we could get a lot into him. And have you seen his wife? I'll just say this like that, but understand all of these people, all of the leadership and establishment, they are working together to control us. They are working together to keep us distracted, to keep us struggling, to keep us poor, to keep us tired, to keep us overwhelmed. Like every minute, there's a new sledgehammer coming our way, and all in an effort so we don't really pay attention to what's really going on. So